All right, here we go. My favorite moment where I admit people and they come rushing through the door. I see a lot of familiar faces today. All right. I didn't pay attention close enough to see who came through the door first, but that's okay. I usually give bonus points for that, but you know, it's bonus points that will get you bonus points. It's not really
Nothing.
it's fine. But you know what? Here, if anybody wants some bonus points, they can go into the chat. Here's your question for the day. Since it's Friday the 13th, first one that can put into the chat the word for the fear of the number 13.
Go ahead,
If you
Kent.
can
Go
spell it,
ahead.
even better.
Go ahead, Kent.
I know the word. I'm not sure I could spell it correctly on the first try, but anyway, but welcome everybody. Yeah, Kent's like, oh, he's coming on camera, but he's like, I don't know about that one. I'm not, the bonus points
So
are
I
not
have
worth
the
it.
support from Chicago people. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. All right. Yes, we've got a lot of familiar faces. We've got some wonderful return visitors. If this is your first time here, welcome to the insanity, clearly. We do this even when it's not Friday the 13th. But welcome to the USDLA Free Friday webinar series. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Valerie. I usually forget to tell people that, like they just know or something. But anyway, I'm so glad you're here. I have a couple of very quick messages. I will make them as quick as I can. Couple of quick messages just before I turn things over to our amazing speakers today. And I think I heard rumor we have a guest mystery speaker that's going to pop in. I have not seen her pop into the room yet, but we'll keep watch for that too. But as I said, here we are at USDA Friday webinars. Today, in case you forgot, you're going to be hearing from two of my favorite people, and we're going to be talking about esports and who knows what else, because it always kind of leads into other discussions. We welcome you into the chat. The chat is also free. Feel free to use it. Ask questions. Engage with us as we're going through. Don't forget, today is being recorded, as are all of our sessions. Many of them end up over on usdla.tv. If you haven't subscribed to that, that's our YouTube channel. Please go over there. All the click and subscribe and all the stuff, and you can see a lot of our free content over there. You'll see we have separate playlists when you get over there. We have a playlist just for the Friday webinar series. We have playlists for other events as well, like our conference and things like that. Some of our content, however, does have to stay behind the member paywall. So if you're not a member of USDLA, we hope you would consider it. We have both individual memberships and institutional. So reach out to whoever it is at your institution that you need to talk to make that happen. And if you want more details, they're on the website, or you can contact me or anybody at USDLA. We'll be happy to help you with that. Also, I know these pictures look very familiar. These two ladies are coming back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to have some more mischief and mayhem as we are planning for National Distance Learning Week. These are the co-chairs, in case you did not know that. But we want to invite everybody to come in, and we're going to co-create some activities and some stuff that's going to happen during this National Distance Learning Week. So this will be a very different thing. This is not going to be a webinar. This is not going to be us just running slides and talking to you. You're going to be in there just participating. So be ready for that. It's also an extended session. We've scheduled 2 hours for that one, but you can come and go as you need to. We understand everyone's schedule is different. Also, dates to remember we have coming up just a couple of weeks. A Wednesday session on the 25th of September. We have a special public policy day. We have a panel of people coming in from higher ed, from government, from different locations to talk about AI and public policy, because nobody tires of talking about AI, apparently. We also, in January, just save the dates, the week of January 21st to 24th, that's actually the Tuesday through Friday, we're going to be having our entire public policy week. So stay tuned with more information about that. Another date I mentioned a moment ago, you should come back for National Distance Learning Week. Who doesn't want to be here for that? It's an entire week of free programming. And we'd love to hear from you. If your institution is doing something for that week, we give shout outs to our friends and colleagues all over the place that are also celebrating National Distance Learning Week with us. And then finally, a couple more things. If you did not know, we are going back to St. Louis next June for our conference again. Different hotel, same location, same city. It'll be the 22nd through 26th of June. Please check out the website for more information about that. It's being actively updated like daily practically. One thing you might have seen or might not have seen is that the award submissions are open. The deadline is September 30th. However, I know that if you at least contact Wendy Pate's Heading Awards, if you at least contact her before September 30th, let her know that you're interested. I believe that the deadline will be extended probably a little bit, or at least if she knows that you are getting your submissions in, she can work with you on that. So please keep that in mind. Go to the website and check out also our weekly newsletters. We have all the information about the different award categories. And we'll be having some more information to remind you the types of projects that have been award winning in the past. It might spur an idea for you, or reach out to a colleague that you know is a deserving recipient. So think about that. Also, have to say a quick thank you to all of our amazing sponsors, without whom we would not be able to provide free webinars such as this one. At the platinum level, we have John Chin with Engaging Virtual Meetings. He was our virtual producer at the conference last year. I believe he's going to come back next year again. We working out the details on that. Check his work out. Also, all of our gold and silver sponsors. If you work with any of them, reach out to your reps, say thank you, let them know what you want to see, and just check in with them. Likewise, we have amazing bronze sponsors and exhibitors and friends. If you see new names on here you do not know, go to their website, check it out. They run the gamut of hardware, software, services, anything to help you, to help your distance learners, whoever they are. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to my dear friends, Farah, Bennani, and Kay Novak, and they are going to take you through the world of esports.
Okay, can everybody see the screen okay?
Looks good.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday 13. Perfect day to have the webinar. Welcome to the Great Push, online learning and rapid strategy adoption from eSport. My name is Farah Bennani. I am the Dean for Science, Engineering, and Math at Elgin Community College in Illinois. I'm also the chair of the Global Partnership Committee in the U.S. Distance Learning Association. And with Kay, I am the co-chairing this year the National Distance Learning Week. So you will see us on the 27th and then again the whole week. So yes, there are more of us doing all of this. So thank you for taking the time to join us, and we'll be sharing with you basically the work and the research that we have done. We are a member and do research on Inevitable Betrayal, World of Warcraft, as well as the sister of it in a server. And it's a place for educators that explore how game could be used basically in various activities. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Kay Novak. I'm the assistant director of learning design at a community college in Colorado. I'm also currently in a doctoral program at the University of Colorado. And while my studies aren't in game design, that hasn't stopped me from bringing in games, virtual worlds, and the metaverse into the research that I'm doing.
So for today, we'll go over the research methodology and questions. What is the great push in eSport events? The learning environment, what is unique in terms of the characteristic of the eSport environment, and how these translate into the online learning and the education and learning in general. We'll go over the learning strategies employed as well as the theory. And of course, we'll have Q&A at the end. So before we start, I would like to give a shout out to Dr. Robbie Milton and the Tennessee State University, with whom we have presented and did a lot of work in the last few years. Big fan of technology and innovation herself. She's a pioneer across the nation and worldwide. And the latest focus that she has, and that I have the privilege to work on with her, in terms of how the eSport and how the game-based learning in general increase the STEM enrollment in minority.
And I also want to say a shout out to Robbie Milton, who is a role model and mentor for us. The work she's doing at Tennessee State is phenomenal. The work that we're doing is a lot smaller. The work that we're doing is really having a bunch of educators looking at where the learning is happening in video games, and thinking about how do we bring that over to our online courses, because video game players, the serious ones can be spending 40 hours a week playing a game, and they're learning the whole time, and they're truly engaged. So that's why we're doing some of this, what would be considered basic research, and then looking for applications.
If you could please in the chat put where you're from. If you're teaching, please share with us what you teach. Are you using any innovation or any technology, anything you would like to share with us? We would like to have this webinar being engaged with all of you, and this will lead to further discussion that we would like to have for you. So if you could please take a few minutes and just put in the chat.
There they go. I knew if we just give their fingers a chance to warm up, they'd get going. Somebody would hop
I know
in
it's
there.
Friday and it's lunchtime.
It's Friday.
Yes, and it's
But
lunchtime.
yes. Don't be shy. Like I said, it's free. You can chat as much as you want to. We don't.
And it won't we don't mind stopping. Okay. And while this might seem a bit academic, we are definitely more off the cuff, but we want to give you the academic arguments. So if you have, and quite honestly, if your administrators say, well, I don't think that can be used. And the other thing about it is, sometimes we hear from the students too. Like I don't, and the students going, well, why would I be doing this? And then we have to get into, and I don't mind discussing with the students about relevance. It's one of my favorite things to talk to them about. But it's also why we're doing more of the academic background for it.
Okay, we have Missouri in the house.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those who were brave enough to share with us what they do and what they teach or they involve in the technology arena. In terms of the study, this one specifically uses a mixed method approach. And basically, it's crossover analysis that could advance research in the online environment and virtual. Particularly in this study, the mixed methodology bolsters the significant enhancement of the research by seeking the elaboration of the finding from one method to help another one. At the end, just before we forget, at the end, we will be sharing with you our contact information and the presentation. We can also send you the slide, and the whole webinar is recorded. So we'll be happy to provide further information and anything you may need. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And part of the mixed method is because we want to hit both sides. If you're a numbers person who says, show me what the numbers, we got you. If you're the person going, well, I want to know more about the engagement and the experience, we got you there too. So here were our research questions. What we did is we looked at, and we're continuing to do this research, but this is one discrete eSports competition. And we looked at what are the learning strategies that were happening here, and what themes came from the all the players competing in this, and was there a significant difference in the strategies suggested? What about the strategies completed, and also regarding team involvement, and that gets into the quant side of it. So when it comes for us as educators, the real thing that we were looking at is social metacognition. And social metacognition is really how does a group work together? How do your student work together? And how are you going ahead, and how are you constructing your courses? Is every student working in isolation? Which, when they get into the workplace, it's not necessarily going to happen. And also, what tools could your students be using, especially the tools that show up in eSports? and what is the information flow, and how is the information flowing from both formal and informal channels. And I'll continue on. And what we were really looking at is, and I'm sorry, this is a duplication, but what we're really looking at is what we could learn from esports that could be taken into your classroom. And especially at the end, I can tell you some that I'm already doing now.
We specifically focus on basically the eSport event that we research, the Great Push. Probably some of you, if you are a gamer or you have family member who are gamers, so they're familiar with this. And usually it is held in May, and this event allows for basically the team of 5 players to compete for $20,000. So kind of you have the fun and the fear and the money if you win. So which is what everyone likes as a gamer. And prior to May 28th, which is kind of the start of the event, they will be playing a qualification tournament, and with the top 6 teams moving to the Great Push. And basically it's live cast using Twitch and YouTube, and the winning team was determined by the highest overall score. So it's a kind of you have transparency, you have everyone looking and seeing what the other team is doing, and the same criteria are applied across all the team members. So what is the Great Push? Basically, it's this event, as I mentioned, and it's the learning environment for each team. And the example that we focus on is the season 3. And it took place in the MMORPG, the World of Warcraft, and they adopted the Mythic Dungeon International structure team competing and in terms of the aspects of the game. My apologies.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back one. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about the learning environment. So in this learning environment, so in this competition, there were 8 possible dungeons, and dungeons are events that players could be assigned to. And the dungeons, all the dungeons are the same, and they remain the same regardless of what players come in. So this is something that that people are used to doing. They've done it before, and now they're trying to do it competitively. And each of these dungeons has a completion time limit. And the table on the right shows out the breakout of all the dungeons and the levels and the time. And the level of the difficulty is determined by what is called over there. You'll see the level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the key level. So a team decides what level they want to try. And the only things that count are if they do it successfully. In addition to the level, there's a bunch of these are called affixations. These are things that can happen in the dungeon before going into the dungeon. Players know what's going to happen. And then I'm going to show you the interface that they see on their screen. Basically, when you're in here, you'll be getting information not only on yourself, but 5 other players. And you get access to this playing in this game a month ahead of time, so you can have practice, and you can go into what's called a tournament realm. And in this tournament realm, it allows for unlimited practice with no penalty for failure. So there's a month of practice that everyone can go ahead and do. So a couple other key factors when it comes to this is it consists of 5 players and 3 roles. And the roles that are filled are a tank, healer, and damage. And there's really no restrictions past that. Now, they can go ahead and they can choose from 12 classes, and with these 12 classes and having five members, there are 2,000 different possible combinations of groups. So think about it. These gamers are making choices from 2,000 possibilities, and they know that coming in, and they go ahead and they try to do each and every one of them. So the goal is to win. So to be able to do this, these gamers have to figure out efficient route planning, maximizing player role performance. They have to have really efficient communication, like the communication that doctors have with their scrub nurses in an operating room are the kind of things that they need. The kind of communication that air traffic controllers have to have with pilots, because you have to keep making these decisions. Now, you also have to do rapid prototyping of strategies. You have to go ahead and have a fail fast mentality, like engineers have, like, oh, let's quickly prototype this didn't work, we got to try this again. And the maximizing the group competition and utility, it's you're making the kind of decisions that military commanders have to make when putting when going ahead and putting soldiers into on missions. So these are all the things that are being considered by gamers. So these were the things that we were going ahead and taking a look at. Now, the new unique characteristics of the eSports format. So I'll let you look at a couple of these. And Farah, you are taking it from here.
Yes. So again, just to continue giving you the overview of the game, the tournament are held during US specific time to allow screencasting, which is basically known by the player ahead of time, and allow for any adjustment for sleeping time. I'm biologist, so yes, I have to think of that. And the screencaster provide commentary, highlight, strategy, composition, player, and the event do replays of particular examples to highlight basically the quality of the game and the unique strategy. Basically, think of it like for all of us, teaching is basically kind of observing what are the good and the best practice that one team member in, let's think of the lab, is using and doing, and how can we replicate. Think also of the example of anyone playing tennis. So you watch the pair of tennis player. What can you basically quote, steal or plagiarize from them so you can bring it and for your team and be successful?
And if you think about this screencasting, is that the players are doing this screencast. So there is one person who is playing, who is screen sharing, just like we are now. And so that everybody, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Twitch or someplace else, everybody can see exactly what's happening. And this is, this image is an example of 4 of them, of people watching 4 of these screencasts. So again, think about what players are doing, and think about how would you bring this into like your students.
There is a common scoring system. Again, if I can think of the analogy in terms of the teaching, so it's the rubric that we provide to our students. So it's the common grading system. So the same thing here, you have the common scoring system. Transparent, known ahead of time, how basically the ranking and how all those players, after completing each dungeon with certain limited time, how the team will be awarded the point. There's no penalty other than the time and the energy spent. So when you think of taking all of this strategy and apply to a learning and the teaching, most of the students who are gamer, they do well, especially in certain field and certain area. So in terms of the social media, again, you have many of them are using social media to broadcast the event, as well as in terms of being transparent. The key here is everyone is watching the other team, and each player or each team players are rooting for their team, basically. The next slide, please. The team have access to the common tools, and those are available to run in the Mythic Plus content on basically on the servers. So everyone has access to them. And the most common one, as I mentioned earlier, are basically is the screencasting. And one is watching another one, and it's live. And basically, there's if any team basically has any or done any error, there's always area of improvement. So again, is watching what the other team and how successful they have been in their strategy, and how can I use it in my own team. The analogy will be the same thing. How can I apply this in my class, basically? And of course, everything is posted, and you can see basically in this graph that we have here, the data that has been collected across these tournaments from one team compared to another one using analytics. Another tool that is used is also the Discord, and for real-time communication, and it's synchronous. As well as asynchronous discussion that is happening during the game and later. And it is shared basically public or private, depending on the setting. And those platforms basically are the tool for the collaboration. If I think of the analogy for all of us teaching online or hybrid, think of the discussion in terms of how can we use these media to engage in the classroom, and those platform allows to more collaboration, metacognition of player, the guild, and to provide players with significant information, research, and basically how they can advance. Again, I keep repeating the same thing. What can I use from one team, or what can I steal between quotes from one team and use it in mine to basically advance to the next level? Same thing, how can I use any best practice that has been used in the previous class for my own next class, or from one colleague, how I can improve my teaching. Same thing for the student, how can they learn from one to another one? So you have the collaboration, you have the engagement, and that's what we need in asynchronous as well as synchronous class.
Okay, so this is an example of a tool that allows the students to, I shouldn't say students, allows the gamers to come up with a more efficient way to get through this the dungeon. And the things that are highlighted there are some of the things that they've made decisions on. The thing about it is, when the players are running through there's lots of enemies that you have to fight, but if you only have to do a certain number of the enemies, so any extra enemy you pull is a waste of time, and this is a time trial. So when it comes to this, here's an example of an add-on tool that students go ahead and use. So we showed you a lot of what the insides of it looks like. and what the learning strategies that we saw here. This is what came out of our mix our mixed methodology, that roughly 50% of the teams who were competing in this tournament were just too happy to be there. They were just happy to be there and happy to be competing and learning. Okay, so 50% of them. And when it came to learning strategies for their teams, it made a serious difference if the teams practiced ahead of time. I know. So unusual for us in learning. Doing some practice exercising helps you on the test. Other learning strategies, crowdsourcing strategies, people would post things in Twitter, now X, and on Facebook and other places and say, this is what we're thinking of doing. And other players would come and give their opinions. Another one, and I don't know if a lot of you know the term sandbagging. Do people know the term sandbagging? If you do, put a Y in chat. If you don't know the term, put N. Oh, good. I got somebody who knows. Anybody else know what the term sandbagging is? Okay. So Kent, I do this to my students all the time. Do you want to tell us what sandbagging is?
Well, it's basically under promising or I would assume in this case it would be making it appear that you're not very good.
Yes, that happens. Some of the screencasts we were talking about, the live streams before the actual finals, some people didn't pull out all their strategies. Some people went, we're just trying to qualify, and then we'll pull out the good stuff. We also had them focusing on and a handful of keys. What I mean by that is, some people decided to focus on staying at a certain level until they were really good at that level before going out. So there was some focusing. The other thing is, some of them made very specific strategy decisions on that they would pick one of each and then go forward. And then there was a lot of players who were training roles. So when we mentioned the roles before, that they could play, and all the different permutations, that they could do some different ones. So those were the learning strategies we saw.
And I'm going to pause there because
Yeah.
Kent was so brave. He answered your question. So I think we should pause and answer his question.
Okay.
He put in the chat.
Yeah.
He was asking about, and you've sort of answered it, but just to make sure everybody's clear on how if you haven't seen one of these, it might not be clear the different roles and how that functions. So he was saying, some games favor players who have better manual dexterity to manipulate the entry device. Is this the case with this game? And you sort of touched on that, but if you want to elaborate a little bit.
Yes. I would say it does favor them, but but because of the three different roles, it can make it there's three roles. One, the first role is a tank, so that's someone who's like the shield, someone who shields everybody else. Okay, that person actually has to have a lot of patience. And always be observant, and always keep the attention of whatever the monster is. So that person needs more patience and observation. The person, what it's called is damage per second, DPS. That person has to be really good at that kind of manipulation that you're talking about. Really, like, you need to know, you need to have like a very fast trigger figure and also be very, very fast at going from one thing to another. Now, a healer is different. A healer oftentimes is not looking at the actual screen of the fight. Actually, what they have is they've put in front of their face a box that has the health levels of the 5 players, and they're just watching that box, and they have to do a lot of anticipatory work. Meaning if a healer, if I was going to say a doctor, they have to give people their shots ahead of time before the disease outbreak happens. So it's with the damage per second people. Yes, the other people, one has to have patience, and the other one has to do a lot of pre-planning, where it doesn't make it that you have to be very quick. So it's interesting, and people make decisions on what they like to play. A lot of times, based on their preferences and strengths.
Most of the time, well, Kent, as you know, I'm biology, so I use a lot of analogies in anything that I teach and do. The healer, I basically equate it to the coach, in a sense of, okay, which one of the players do I save on the bench, which one? And the other two, just think of in terms of football, which one is the bully, and which one basically I'm sending, and which one will be in the back door protecting the team. And that's the strategy that happened.
And I was saying, like what Farah said, yes, a lot of healers do that. I'm going to decide who lives or dies. Like that. I get to be the puppet master. Now everybody else playing the other roles are like, no, you're not. but the healer very much is, yes, the healer has to do a lot of anticipation and it's yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Karen, yes.
Okay, so
So what we have seen, basically, there's a learning construct that is happening during the game, and the theory that we saw, it's interdisciplinary, and it's pulled from the game studies, education, educational technology, and business management. So we have seen it across different field or discipline, I should say, and of course, embedded with the innovation. And I will add, in terms of the first theme of construct for the game study, that's what basically led to the use and the expansion of the metagame, which we have seen more and more in the last few years. And basically, it is what is happening outside of the game. So a lot of the players, those strategies are used even outside. And in terms of the education, in terms of what it is, the learning that is happening in the classroom or in the online environment, as well as the outside one. For the video gamers, so basically what they're playing, the live action role model, so anything is considered out of character in a video game. So the metagame is this legitimate information source and basically well built up, and that's kind of the environment inside and outside of what it is happening. You have also the social network knowledge construction that is happening, and a lot of studies have basically indicated in terms of the impact on the learning and the learner as well. And of course, we have identified different levels. So you have, here's my network, and then those who lurk, and think of the student in the classroom, they are not participating, they're just watching. Same thing for the discussion. A few of them will engage. You have those who contribute and those who create and lead. So the theme of basically the composition of the team itself, it is mimicking exactly the type of behavior as well as the learner type that we have in the classroom, as well as online, basically. We also found different and high level, I should say, of social metacognition, where the team member, they know each other, so they know the strength. My son is a gamer, and I just watching him play beside myself and Kay. And same thing as in the classroom, you have an assignment, and once the team is formed, they know the strength of each team member for that project, and it is more in terms of how can I basically take advantage and from your strength and my weakness, and how each one of us will be assigned a task. That's exactly how it is done in the game and in the team playing. And the same thing is applicable in the classroom.
And sorry that this might seem a little scary, this one, but we thought we needed to put it up here. And I will tell you, I was in a meeting this morning that our learning design team was going, how do we provide a metacognitive model for our students? And here's the big thing. In the US, we emphasize metacognition a lot, but not social metacognition, meaning we emphasize a lot student, how do you learn how to learn? And not, okay, you're in a team, how does the team learn?
And I will add, that's why I am a big fan of the adaptive learning, because through the adaptive learning, students do not know what they do not know, and the adaptive learning basically provide them in a way in terms like, okay, this is what I need to focus. It's more personalized. So when you add the game strategy combined with the adaptive learning, which what we did in the microbiology course, it was basically, we have seen an impact in terms of how the student have basically did better in the exam, in the assignment, the attrition rate, we have reduced it, as well as the retention has increased, and the grade. For the last construct that we have kind of from business and entrepreneurship, we have seen what we call the absorptive capacity, which is basically not usual focus that we see, and it's this organizational knowledge. It's the competitive advantage. And basically the question is, can a team recognize the value of external information, absorb it, and apply it? So, and if I have to summarize, this is the paramount of during the Great Push. What can I learn from another team who's basically ranked higher than my team, use their strategy and apply it in my own team? But I'm able to do it only if I know the strengths and the weakness of each one of the team member before assigning each one of it. Like, can't you do this? Valerie, you do this. Kay will be taking care of this. So it is this, and of course, each team will have a leader. Back to the analogy in the classroom and the teaching, who will be leading the project and knowing the team, each one will basically take the task, will be broken down this way, no burden one, taking basically credit for other work, but each one kind of contribute based on their own capacity. Next slide, please. Okay.
Okay. Going on.
So in conclusion, basically what we have kind of with all the research that we have done in terms of different courses, different games, including our own courses that we teach, as well as what is done in other university, the social media, the streaming, the forum during the Great Push meant nothing kind of, it's more than in terms of how can we make the whole game more successful? How can we make the live streaming during this event and more engaging, but also it had a high social metacognition on the team player, and they were able to rapidly take the information, integrate it, and use it in their own environment. Wouldn't that be amazing within one semester if we can apply it, whatever discipline that we use? And by the time my students are with me the first day of fall, at the end, they have basically increased and been successful. And even the thought process and the metacognition has been increased. I'll take any game in any course right away.
Okay, so as we're winding down our conclusions, were the best results were from teams that incorporated a strategy that they developed from monitoring other team strategies and other team compositions. Most teams had similar team competitions. They ended from those 2,000 permutations. They kind of, as a group, decided that these were the best combinations. Also, the best performing teams had multiple players, and the winning team won by a bug or a cheat. The winning team found a strategy that involved a cheat. And I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you here. Here's some screenshots from some of the live streaming. The cheat was that a hunter could stand alone and do a misdirect to the party, and what that basically means is the misdirect to the party was basically could occupy the monster while you were killing the other monsters. And they could do it from such a far distance, much further than it was meant to be, and it was considered a cheat. But the tournament, but World of Warcraft and the people running the tournament decided that it was not really a cheat because everyone could have done that exploit. People just had to figure that out. So here's my next question. So I'm going to do the same thing. Anybody here know what I mean when I say the Kobayashi Maru? Type a Y in if you do. I have an N, so Kent will not be answering this question. And it's okay if nobody, yes. Okay, I have a yes. Would you like to answer what the Kobayashi Maru is? You can go on mic or in chat.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
You
Yes,
said
please.
you,
Yes.
so all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a big Star Trek fan, and the whole time you've been talking about this, I was thinking about the Kobayashi
Yes.
Maru. But it's basically what Kirk did. He had his reputation was that he beat the Kobayashi Maru a game which was thought to be impossible by some people said he cheated.
Yeah.
He basically found a different way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what we really we found in here, especially the group that won. They Kobayashi Maru it. We were like, oh. and Kobayashi Maru, this is my the way I define it is you change the conditions.
Yes. Yes.
And the thing, everybody tells you this is the route. Everybody tells you this is the way to, this is the way to go. But with Kirk, he went, even though it was supposedly a no-win scenario with the Kobayashi Maru, he went in and he changed the conditions, which is, for me is really cool. So for our future research, that's really what we think we'll be looking at when it comes to the games. Is William Shatner the mystery guest? I wish. But so that's where we're going to end it with the Kobayashi Maru, because for me, and I teach design, I teach business in the creative industries. So for me, looking for the Kobayashi Maru is what I want my students to do. And my students are unlikely to be soloists. They are likely, whether they're entrepreneurs leading a team or leading a team for a company or an organization, I want them to think about how do you look at changing the competitions? The conditions. And this is just our information, and we can go back. I'll go back to Kirk because I like this picture. Okay.
And the mystery guest was the provost of the Tennessee State University, and she did log and stayed for a few minutes, and then she left. She texted me she had something to deal with the president. So yes, we did have the guest.
we fall below that. So I guess
got outranked.
Yeah. So do you have questions, or do you want to talk about things that you're doing? Or if you'd like to ask us questions, Discord, I am now using Discord rather than the discussion forum in Desire to Learn. I've totally taken my students out of that, and they're using Discord. Group projects, here's how I do the social metacognition for group projects. I have all of my students make a is everybody here familiar with what a picha-kucha is? And you can type Y again. An N. Okay. Who wants to take picha-kucha?
Oh, I'll do that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I should go find the video with the cute little Muppet.
Yeah.
Basically it's a slide deck, and each slide you get 40 seconds, and so it forces people to think concisely and quickly, and sometimes we do them, and sometimes we're really cruel to people and we give them slide decks they've never seen before, and that's a whole lot of fun. And
that's
actually called PowerPoint karaoke.
Yeah, I love PowerPoint karaoke. It's so fun.
It's an elevator speech, but you have only 30 seconds to do everything.
Yeah, and Valerie and I, for me, we in my class we always go, we allow for vowel differences and regional variations and stuff like that. And yeah, it's pronounced like you'll hear it 20 different ways.
Exactly.
Another reason why it's taught in my class is because a bunch of designers, architects in Tokyo were the people who first thought of doing it because they thought PowerPoint is boring. So to get that social, to to get my students to start knowing each other, instead of like the intro, just text, they have to do a Picha Kucha, and they have to talk about themselves as a creative. So, and then every student has to comment on it, but the amount of slides works out so students can showcase what they're proud about, and that they're able to talk about it. So that's how I'm doing, trying to get them to know each other quickly.
Yeah, and I love the comment. Yes,
And
Kent, we agree.
yes. So just to share with you, in my microbiology class, so I was using Cohen textbook. So we have the simulation, we have everything provided, and using the adaptive, and then I use AR and the game base. So I used to go and geotag. Kay was my instructional designer, so it was an amazing, it was a grant that we wrote, and it was the work over the summer ahead of time. OT was the one who provided all the information regarding the code and the access. And we were using D2L as the LMS, and we created exactly a carbon copy of the CDC website, and we call it the Colorado Health Department. And it was a live feed from Twitter. And one night, the students were live, and the director of the CDC was answering questions openly, and my student had a chance to do it.
Wow.
So it's the combination
We
of
lucked out.
as I mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, the adaptive learning basically tell the student what you do not know. And at the meantime, using the game base and the AR, that's what make it to the next level. We increased the enrollment by 42%. I increased the attrition rate by 87, and I didn't have a single D at all in the class. One F because the students stopped basically coming from the third week. And here's the website that we created.
We created it.
So, just to share with you, we did this in 2012.
Yeah, and
Yeah. And if you Google Project Outbreak, that's the grant that we worked on. And this is not the CDC. This is my class.
and it was we made it as ugly as a state government website.
Yeah.
It was our fake site.
And we had videos, we geotag the campus, we had case studies, we had misdiagnosed on purpose information, we had live guest speaker, trying to make it as epistemic as we can, but also having this fun element. Although microbiology is not fun, but I did manage to make it fun in terms of the learning and the experience. And that was since 2012 when I got the grant, and it's the reiteration that was year after year after year. Now I am all hyped about using AI, because when you think about AI, it is nothing more than adaptive learning. We just give it a different name. It's personalized learning. That's what the adaptive has been doing for all those years. So now I am doing, and I teach right now, and this is what I do for my students. Basically, I encourage them to use AI. So I will be looking beside the attrition rate in the metacognition and the thought process, because it's about the prompt, but how the way the students are now trying to ask the question, that's a different way of learning. It's not about AI giving them the information, is how smart or efficient was that prompt that I put in ChatGPT, Claude, or any other AI to give me the information. And of course, I give them the rubric, and they have to assess the legitimacy of the website and all the information before bringing it to in the assignment and post it. And I do it for discussion. I do it for other topics as well.
Yeah, I've seen great things. Well, I think science rocks anyway, so I'm I'm a big old geek.
Thank you. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, for those who kind of look at this, just one of my cautionary tales, because I'm in the gamification space too. One of my cautionary tales is, even if you don't feel like you have all the technology to support this, even if you can't build out a replica website and you don't feel you can do all of that, there was a beautiful course done a number of years ago out of the University of Pittsburgh on the drug trial process. Again, not a subject matter that necessarily is, people are going to go, wow, that's the most
Yeah.
exciting thing ever. It's, it's intensive and whatever. But the professor there, similarly, she said, you know what? I'm not doing it the usual way. She got in a bit of trouble, but I'm not doing it the usual way. And she broke her class up much like this into teams, guilds, whatever you want to call them. And they had roles, and each team had to take a drug to market. And so one was the marketing person and one was the researcher, and and similarly they brought in, the tools, as many tools as they could without, overloading people with feeling like they had to go into a a virtual environment or something that wasn't the appropriate thing for that audience. With her audience, it was a little more low tech, but the foundational, as Cam and Farah have been talking about, the foundational learning process was the same, of putting these people into social groups where they had roles and they had to go get the information, and there were team dynamics of, the professor would feed certain information to certain teams, and the teams had to sometimes make deals with one another, or they could decide to make deals with one another. So all of those things, again, just it doesn't always have to be super high tech up front. And I think that sometimes stops a lot of people I talk to, like, well, I don't have the resources, I don't have the tools. You don't have to. You have to have imagination and creativity and a willingness to try it, I
Every
think.
video and everything that was done in my microbiology class with the geotagging and everything was on my iPhone and Kay's phone, by the way.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we uploaded on D12. The adaptive came from McGraw-Hill, but anything that we created was just using our phones.
Yep.
So
you can do
any
it. That's
other
my
question,
story.
any,
You can do it.
any clarification or any follow-up you have?
See what was going on. If I missed anything in the chat.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time you took to spend a Friday 13 with us. Thank you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, and then during the National Distance Learning Week as well. Valerie, you can stop the recording. We can hang out. Whomever
Thank you.
wants to
Thank you.
have
I'll say
question.
a quick thank you to all of our future viewers as well, and invite them to come back and see us again. But yes, I'm not kicking you out. I'm just stopping the recording.
Thank you so much, Ken.